My name is Mark Sage. There we go, Executive Director of the area. Timmy, amazing. I've never slept in an airport, and obviously I've no idea of fashion whatsoever. So my talk is very much more on the practical side of XR. So we're going to be talking about the status of the enterprise augmented reality ecosystem and what we can do to improve it. I'll just let these people come on in. It's amazing to see so many people here. This is a fantastic, congratulations, Camille and team, to doing such a great event. So again, mine's a little bit more on the practical side, so I'm going to start with some definitions. I think one of the biggest troubles we have in the innovation thing is just terminology. Okay, we keep saying different things. So I am a very, very simple lad. I basically been working in AR for the last 10 years. And with my definition, it's very simple. You see this continuum here, the difference between AR and VR. If you can see the real world, albeit with your own eyes or through a camera, that's augmented reality. If you're in a virtual world, it's virtual reality. Okay, all these different mixed reality, extended reality, that's great. That's catch-alls, that's marketing talk. But for me, we just keep it simple. Okay, AR, you can see the real world and put digital content on top of it. VR, you're in completely a virtual world. AR itself has been around for a long, long time. You can see, I believe this is David, back in 1989, working for Boeing, and is using a very simple, rudimentary wearable device. Okay, now we'll come back to Boeing very soon because they're still pushing the future of augmented reality. Oh, we haven't got any analysts in the room, have we? Or anything like that? I hope not. Gartner. Anyway, the Gartner hype cycle curve. Just want to take you real quick on the journey of where AR has been on it. You can see all these different kind of levels. It actually started in 2004. I have to look and go a bit closer. Innovation trigger, that's it. That's where it kind of first started. Then suddenly in 2007, AR disappeared from Gartner. No one can tell me why. I've gone back to them, but it comes back in 2010. We're on that trough of disillusionment. This is where, and again, just to be clear, the Gartner hype cycle curve is about those innovations that are very new, okay? We then go down into the depths of the trough of disillusionment, 2013. 2018, we're right at the bottom. Everybody's going, oh, we don't really believe this technology is happening and stuff like that. Amazingly, 2019, it comes out of the hype cycle completely and is no longer featured on the Gartner hype cycle. So everyone's going, oh, the technology is really kind of mature and stuff like that. No. What it's meant, it's come out of the hype cycle. And from 2019 to now, 2005, we're still working on delivering the best solutions and making sure that we're getting real ROI from augmented reality. I'll come back and I'm going to show you some actual real-life use cases. I'm going to jump over this, but the industrial metaverse is one of these other terms, but we won't talk too much about that. But why is enterprise AR really important? Well, you've got all the analysts here are saying not like these $1 billion or billion euro investments in it. What I really like is the bottom bit, okay, where we're solving complex business problems and streamlining in operations. Now, if we want to compete on a global basis, we need to make sure that our manufacturing, industrial processes are as effective as possible. Because believe you me, there's other places around the world that are really using AR to deliver real benefit. So what does that really mean? Well, there's some simple things. I'm taking a very helicopter view at the moment, but it's getting the relevant, contextual, up-to-date information to the workers when they need it. Just think about that a little bit at the moment. If you, and I've been there, they're on maybe a maintenance or manufacturing floor. If they're not quite sure, what do? Well, they go off and either open a book or go onto a computer. They're taken away from the task that they're doing. So what if they can get that relevant information to them when they need it without having to move and continuing the task, they're saving money. Resource management, we all lived through COVID, and unfortunately I've got a stinking cold now, that's why my voice is a bit funny. But going back to those times, you couldn't have people in the offices, the manufacturing spaces and things like that. So the actual use case of remote assistance exploded. But now companies are looking to say, do I need my expert to fly across the world or to take time on one job when actually there's multiple different jobs? So resource management, remote assistance is a massive use case within AR. And the thing I'm seeing grown really big at the moment is real-time compliance. So often when you do a task, and again, I've seen this happening, someone has to come and check it, make sure they've done it correctly. So you have two people. I've even seen, you wouldn't believe this, that they use a rubber stamp to say, I've checked it. And the person comes along next and says, yeah, I've checked your work and it's all okay. That's just crazy. So being able to use augmented reality to do that real-time compliance seems a really great use case. So what does that mean for companies around the world? Well, it's about reducing time, minimizing errors, and lowering costs. And again, to survive on a global basis, these things we need to be doing now. So why do I know about this stuff? Camille mentioned I run an organization called the AREA, Augmented Reality Enterprise Alliance. As you can read, it's a global membership-funded, not-for-profit alliance helping to accelerate the adoption of enterprise AR. So we have a number of companies that are actually delivering or deploying the technology, the likes of Boeing, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, ExxonMobil. Bigger groups of the providers, both hardware and software. Hardware has been a little bit tricky for people in the industry. You probably know about Microsoft that decided to stop the HoloLens. But actually, at the moment, I'm seeing lots and lots of new companies coming in. And I think you mentioned, Camille, this time next year, it could be a completely different story in terms of those devices. Even within the last few weeks, we've had two new startups coming in doing some amazing technology. Yeah, the glasses that look like this, again, able to use AI. Amazing companies, and hopefully next year, if we do it, I'll be able to bring some of those companies along as well. What I really wanted to focus on today is giving you some real life stories about companies that have actually deployed this technology, and more importantly, the types of ROI that they've received. This document is available. In fact, it's really old. It's really old. If you do a search on why every organization needs an augmented reality strategy, you can read a little bit more about it. So I'm going to jump into a bit more detail of some of these and some different ones as well. But look at the kind of savings that these companies are making. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Newport News shipbuilding, but 96%. Another one I'd like to talk about is Lockheed Martin. They made a 99% improvement on getting satellites into the sky using AR. And in fact, the lady who's still heavily involved with the area even now says it was a bigger problem trying to convince the stakeholders of the 99% rather than them thinking it was absolutely fantastic that they were able to get that process so much quicker. So I've mentioned remote assist is a big use case. Xerox, and we see this in lots and lots of industries. If you're providing something and it goes wrong, what happens? Well, quite often you have to go out. You hear about the instances where they go out and literally just press a button or do something. All of that time, all of that CO2 wasted in terms of travel, absolutely crazy. So Xerox have been enabling all of their field service workers with AR, and as you can see, the number of times that they get things fixed first time is improved to 76%. Looking at the manufacturing and assembly use cases, remember I mentioned at the start, Boeing? Well, Boeing are still using AR. If you look at the bottom bit, that is actually the wiring that goes into an aircraft. It's actually quite scary if you see the amount of wiring. So they've been using AR where they can now look at the wiring diagram. Historically, they would have had a physical model. They would have brought wires through to make sure that they don't touch. They go all right the way through. Now they're using a combination of both tablets, wearables, both the MetaQuest and the HoloLens, and it allows them to be so much more efficient. I think it's 90% improvement on first time and a 30% reduction in time for doing the job. That's real substantial savings that this company is making, that Bow is making. As I said, they started this a long time, 1989, but they're growing. They've actually got a number of different use cases as well. Very simple, just putting little holders into the fuselage that the wires actually sit on. There's different ones depending on the wiring. So again, they use augmented reality to make sure they put the right one in. And if they put the wrong one in, they will say, you can't move on. It saves them literally hundreds of thousands of pounds, because if they put the wrong one in, they have to strip it all back and do it again. Again, simple use cases, but a massive amount of ROI. Inspection. Talked about Newport News Shipbuilding. They make those big aircraft carriers that you see in Top Gun, the film, where the plane comes and lands on them. Okay, those take between 7 and 9 years to build. They're built in sort of different components and brought together. When they come to inspect them, they used to have a piece of paper. They go and say, well, does that look right? Oh, I'm not quite sure. They'll go and have a look, physically walk around. It took them a long time to make sure that what was supposed to be built was actually built. Now they just used a tablet. The tablet will overlay exactly what should be there. Again, you can see it through an AR overlay. They've gone from, if I remember numbers, something like 36 hours to 90 minutes, a 96% saving. Again, the use cases don't need to be complex, but the savings are huge. And then looking at maintenance and repair. Bosch, a well-known kind of brand, obviously with so many different electric cars coming into the market, it's really difficult to keep your engineers or your people that fix them up to date. So again, they're using a combination of both tablets and wearable devices where you can simply get the information. They don't need to go and have a look at something. They can be hands-on in the engine and showing some substantial savings, 15% average per step taken. So not just to the whole bit, each step within a fix, they're saving 15% time. Again, as we well know, small little savings combined make a big saving. So I'm just going to play a quick video. The reason why I like this video is it actually combines a number of different use cases, number of different solutions.
Service AR offers a complete solution for technical maintenance and emergency routines. The system detects the user's position and guides the technician to the location where the first workflow step takes place.
So
once at the site, Service AR
wayfinding, so using AR to get them to the place that they need to be. Thanks, guys. So they're literally just using a phone and they're taking it, shows them where to go to. That's great. Once they get there, they're now looking at what the problem is. So you can see the information here. They get a guide. He's looking at what the pressure is. Information is overlaid. He now needs to take some action. That's great. He does a bit of action. He gets another question asked of him. And there's still a problem. Okay, so now so far we've got wayfinding, which is one use case. We've got kind of a maintenance step. Still can't fix it. Right, I need to phone somebody. Now we're into remote assistance. They're now phoning somebody or connecting with somebody. It's not just a phone call. This person is going to overlay what they need to do. Okay, and this is what remote assistance is. So you'll actually see them using something to say, right, well, you need to do this or you need to do that. What I also like about this one is they're actually using AI to make sure that last bit was making sure that the lock was closed. And they're using AI to make sure that that actually happened. So it's a combination of lots of different use cases coming together to make that what could have been, if there was a problem there, it could have taken the whole engine room out, or it could have been a big issue for them. And that person is able to use AR, again, multiple different use cases to solve real life problems. Just a little bit about the area to give you a bit more context and background. What we try and do is deliver thought leadership. So looking at business decision makers out there, what do you need to know? Well, in my experience is about what problems can be solved using AI? Examples of real life companies. So we're trying to build the biggest repository of case studies. So any of you providers out there are building kind of case studies, please grab me, because we'll be really pleased to add your case studies to our repository. What the technology is, but the biggest issue is around the ROI, the return on investment. We've done lots of work on that. We've got calculators, we've got best practice. But as business decision makers, you need to know how much it's going to cost, but more importantly, how much you're going to make or save, which tends to be the enterprise use case bit. It's about saving money. It's a lot about networking and bringing the experts together. We're not talking about people who have just started on their journey. Often we're on about the people that have been delivering, in fact, got their technical fellowships through delivering AI kind of solutions. The educate side, we're passionate about bringing the next set of skilled workers into the industry. So we're actively working with universities and educational organizations. Our members are doing guest lecturing, organizing outplacements, or anything we can do to get the next set of workers into the industry. And finally, it's about reducing barriers to adoption. Camille mentioned it earlier. I think she's coining my phrase. But pilot purgatory is a big issue. We see it all around the world. They get a nice kind of solution. It's a couple of devices. Everyone loves it. Say, oh, that's really cool. But it doesn't turn into a bigger deployment across the organization. And that's something that we're trying to solve. And I think as an industry and as you experts out there, we've really got to solve it together. So how we do that is we've basically got some committees or bringing the members together to focus on some of the challenges around security. People are worried about, we're capturing all this IP, or how do we actually get the devices onto the network? Safety, you're concerned that people are focusing on what's in front of them and walking into walls or forklift trucks or whatever it is. Requirements, we're defining a set of requirements for the industry. We're actually looking to build a training course, not for developers or technical people, but for business people who want to understand how you deploy this technology, how you build ROI calculators. I do think, and again, I know we're in an amazing educational organization here, the future is a combination of both technical skills and human and delivery skills. I think at the moment we're a little bit siloed. They become a developer or they become doing business degree. It's more horizontal now, and they need skills in all of that. Human factors all around the UX and UI and research. I'll show you some of the research that we've done. So if anybody's interested in what problems can be solved using AR, go to the website and there's a page there on use cases. So I think there's 11 different use cases. Again, all free to use to give you an idea of what problems can be solved using this technology. We want to build a set of requirements that tells the industry what they need to do. Anything from hardware in terms of, connectivity to integration to the use case level. These are the problems that we want to solve. This gives us an opportunity to push it back into the industry and say, this is what we need. As end users, as businesses looking to deploy AR, this is what we use. And we created a whole bunch of kind of infographics and content around security, around MDMs. One of the challenges is just getting these devices onto the network. Very practical, very low level, very boring up to what Timmy was talking about, but these are the practicalities of it. And again, we have a safety work. And then finally, guys, for the people a little bit more research orientated, we have this amazing process where we just say to the members, every 6 months, what would you like to research? What information would really help you? We ask the members, they make a proposal, we do a quick meeting to explain it, and then finally they get to vote. So we've got a whole backlog of research, which are very practical type of things in security, ROI calculators, 5G. We've got a dedicated, we've scraped all the research that's done in this space. We've looked at things about mapping. We've done on inspection use cases. We've done some recently on low-code, no-code platforms and visual positioning systems. How do you actually tag assets in the geospatial bit? And the one we're working at the moment is about the viability of pass-through in AR. Everyone thinks the VR headsets thinks it'll be great, you'll be able to do this, but actually you're never going to walk around with a VR headset in a manufacturing space. No way. And then finally, one of the or a few of the initiatives to just touch on, Google announced the Android XR operating system. that actually is going to be a big thing for the industry. So we're actively working with Google to make sure that we drive that these devices are going to be ready for enterprise. They're targeting consumer, they're targeting the pro user, but actually they need to be ready for enterprise. There's a whole bunch of things, including, the safety aspects, the security aspects, and things like that. So a whole bunch of stuff. The industry is alive. The industry is really showing return on investment. This event has been amazing. Camille, thank you so much. But we've also got an event going on in Leeds, in the UK. If anybody is interested, please grab me or take an image of this. Please come and chat to me. I promise I won't give you any cold. But it's happening now. People think that this technology, I hear a lot about innovation and the future. It's happening now. Thank you very much. I think that's me done.